Hey guys, what's up? It's Tony here with Spacetime TV. Anthony, aka Top Hat Tone, as some of you and hopefully most of you will know me soon. And today we are going to go ahead and review the Two of Swords. So we've made it to the second suit in tarot, and this is going to be two, which is a duality card. Duality meaning, you have both sides, polar. Anytime you're going to approach anything in life, you're always going to have to recognize polarity, because it's not always up to you. So there's going to be a lot of that in this suit, which is two. We start with the Two of Swords, which now the Two of Swords is going to begin running through Shulkma on the Tree of Life. And again, this is Crowley's Thoth Tarot through Master Thoth, my practice of Egyptian Hermetics, in which I love. So the Shulkma is your wisdom, looking on the Tree of Life, and this is the second portion. It's going to run through that wisdom. It's going to give you cleverness, ways to interact with the other side, lots of wisdom. It's the beginning of analysis. And if you see me looking in my book, this is my Master Thoth book that I'm perpetually writing. So it's the beginning of analysis, putting the pure, undirected ideas of the ace underneath separation and leading them to a potential end. So you have the seed of manifestation from the ace, and then you have the next portion where you're taking that and you're leading them, you're guiding your manifest through the path towards the end. When looking at Shulkma, it's actually the creation of manifest through wisdom. It's indicating the powers without showing a shadow. It's the sword. So if you look at the actual two swords, they're going to mean peace. Look at it, almost looks like when you do this here. This is a very balancy card. You see a lot of this in adjustment, and I think there's another one, adjustment. I can't quite remember, but you see a lot of balancing here, which is peace, a lot of duality there. So, the drive is the arrangement of differences, is actually differentiating between things, good compromises, actually seeing the logic in other people's thoughts and manifesting, compromising. You might not necessarily agree as a whole, but you're going to agree just enough to make that balance. You might disagree. We hear the term agree to disagree a lot now with social media. It's almost the same concept. Light is the beginning of analysis. So there's a light of that, because now you've entered a stage where you're going to kind of examine whatever it is before you. And that could be very rewarding, actually, because it's very exciting to examine something that you're curious about, because there is a potential of a positive result. When you're going into something and you're like, that might be a good idea, you know what I mean? And then you go into that and you're like, whoa, really? I could get this? I could, if it's a job or something, I could make this much from this. I get to travel from this, you know what I mean? And then there might be a dark side to where it's like, oh no, I wouldn't want to do that. Or if it was a job, it would be, oh, well, I'm not really going to make that much. Or, oh, I wouldn't want to be in the same place. You know what I mean? You get the idea if you're applying that to daily life there. In a divinatory perspective, it could be the difficult of making your mind up. It'll sit in the background and occasionally surface. So there's a lot of that there. There's a lot of suppression issues with peace. There's a lot of accepting things that you might not agree with, like I just mentioned before. And I think you see the other sword. There's another sword added. There's another sword added on the top there, that you can see there. And that was as essentially, it has to make an adjustment to prepare. Okay, so I knew there was something tying this into adjustment, because if you look at the very top here, there is the same sword. That's the actual sword of the Ace of Swords, and that's the sword of adjustment. So this is actually a reminder of the original seed you planted, that sword there. And it's also a reminder of the adjustment that you're making. And it's also a symbol of being proactive, because anytime you see that sword and that logic and that knight figure and things related to that sword and movement is a symbol of proactiveness when looking at that. Another thing with this card, if you see it in a spread, you might be dealing with the pros and cons of things. You might be going back, if this shows up in a spread, you might be going back and forth with trying to deal something. If this shows up in your what is above, it could be that your soul is unrested and it hasn't been able to come to an adjustment or a balance with something. Let's say it shows up in your environment. It could mean that maybe your environment is conflicting and you're not able to make adjustments in your environment. You see the moon sign on the top, the blessed moon, crescent moon there, and that's actually a sign of intuitive and emotional energies that are needed to manifest. Those need to be manifested there. So there's a lot of emotional things and illuminating things from the moon, and I think that might have something to do with maybe seeing the beauty in darkness, or just seeing the beauty in other things. The moon is a very dark, illuminating card. However, it's very beautiful and bright and inspiring. So with that, you're going to see some beauty. It is in the Deacon of Libra, so that's another thing, and it is ruled by the moon. So that's why they were bringing up the moon. And when I say they, I mean a collective of all the different websites. I do give credit to Corax, Biddy, Esoteric Meanings. There's the top 5 handful that I refer to. So I'm just citing it here in case, I'm being honest with you guys. So there's that moon sign. It's ruled by the moon. The swords cross the center of a blue rose. And the blue rose emits white rays. Geometrical pattern in the background, and then there's 5 roses, and that's going to represent the goddess. Actually, sorry, so the actual blue rose does represent the goddess. So now we have that signifies a female energy that's put into this. Because it takes that female compassion and understanding. It's not that physical men have, lack of emotions and inspiration and illumination as the goddess would. It's just that the woman truly symbolizes and embraces warmth, compassion, emotion, feelings. It's that motherly aspect. So it looks like that's actually resonating through the card. In the Tetragrammaton, it's a he, so which that is a female aspect. The swords of air, these are swords of air too, so it's very logical. There could be actual real turmoil with fire and water. When talking about balancing and talking about the elements, this card signifies that there's real turmoil between your passion, which is your fire, and your emotions, which is your water. So it's going back and forth, that fire. Think about what fire and water does to each other, and that's going to play out while you're making peace, because at the time you're making peace with others, you're sort of at a stagnant area in your life. therefore, I see how that would be easy to suppress your emotions and passions, because in compromising, you have to kind of accept things. You know what I mean? You have to almost trick your brain sometimes, you know, and some of that could be a little toxic, so you just want to make sure what is really getting back to you as far as equal energy. Sorry, not to go off track there. But it might show up when the obstacle has presented itself. So if you look at this, it could be an obstacle that you're facing in the reading. The glyph of the moon is balanced on the dagger. That's a balance sign for support. So Libra, so there is a support system, because by well, we already talked about that, you know, so, but that does make a good sense that it would be a support system, adjustment, support, and balance. So the key word is really adjustment, balance, and stuff like that. The pinwheels on the back of the card are in constant activity of air or logic despite relative peace. It's a temporary stay, so the pinwheels in the back are representing your perpetual mind to be aware that even though you are in a complacent, balanced, peaceful, and adjustment system, there's still reality, and there's still your manifest and what your soul desires within that peaceful situation. So that's pretty much it. For work, I would say, if it came up in a work situation, I would say that you're adjusting to a job. You might be trying to get along with some coworkers and stuff like that. In love, it would just mean that you're compromising, that you understand the logic in the other person, and that you guys are working together to create balance, so that you guys can be unified into a relationship. So this went a little bit more today. I kind of mambled on, but hey, you know, I love what I do, and I love you guys, and thank you so much for tuning into Spacetime TV to review the Two of Swords, which is the peace card in Crowley's Thoth. Love and light, so mote it be, and blessed be, friends.